Even amidst the harsh realities of Dublin's underworld in the mid-1990s, the murder of Veronica Guerin, a 37-year-old crime reporter, was notably ruthless. On June 26, 1996, during lunchtime, she was fatally shot in her car. Guerin had been trailed by her assailants from the Naas District Court in County Kildare, where she was addressing a speeding charge. As the young mother paused at an intersection, a motorcycle carrying two men pulled up beside her. The passenger dismounted, approached her car, and coldly fired lethal shots at close range using a Magnum revolver. This shocking incident profoundly shook the very core of the city. John Gilligan emerged as the prime suspect behind the orchestrating of the murder, although he vehemently denied any involvement in Veronica Guerin's death. Astonishingly, he openly confessed to assaulting her a year prior when she confronted him outside his residence. Even more disturbingly, Gilligan admitted to making ominous calls to her mobile phone, threatening to kidnap and harm her 6-year-old son, Cahill. This sinister strategy aimed to intimidate her and dissuade her from delving into the origins of his wealth. In 1996, British police apprehended Gilligan at Heathrow Airport in London, carrying a suitcase filled with 330,000 Irish pounds in cash as he attempted to board a flight to Amsterdam. Subsequently, he was extradited to Ireland and faced trial in Dublin in 2001. Surprisingly, John Gilligan was acquitted of Guerin's murder but found guilty of drug trafficking. He served 17 years of a reduced 20-year sentence and was released from prison in October 2013. Gilligan's life journey traces a path from humble beginnings to the dark underbelly of organized crime. Born on March 29, 1952, as the eldest of 9 children, Gilligan grew up in Ballyfermot. At the age of 14, he left school and took on the role of a cabin boy on Irish ferries. Gilligan's first encounter with the law occurred at 15, facing charges of larceny. At 20, he married Geraldine Matilda Dunn, and 6 months later, their first child was born. Despite the responsibilities of fatherhood, Gilligan persisted in a life of crime, involving himself in truck hijackings and robberies. During the 80s, Gilligan underwent a transformation into an organized crime figure, leading a gang known as the Factory Gang. This criminal enterprise specialized in raiding warehouses, targeting valuable cargo destined for supermarkets and factories. However, in 1987, Gilligan's thieving career reached a halt when he was apprehended stealing sweets from the Rose Confectionery premises, resulting in an 18-month prison sentence. In 1990, he faced another conviction for robbery, leading to a 4-year prison term following his release from Portlaoise prison. In 1993, Gilligan shifted his focus to the lucrative drug trade. Within 6 months, he orchestrated the arrival of his first drug shipment, 75 kilograms of cannabis resin concealed in 2 wooden boxes. Over the next 2 years, Gilligan masterminded the importation of an astounding 21,000 kilograms of cannabis resin, utilizing a front company in Cork. This cannabis was sold to Dublin criminal Brian Meehan, later convicted for his role in Veronica Guerin's murder, at a rate of 25–30 euros per kilogram, resulting in Gilligan grossing around 20 million euros. Additional income streams included contraband cigarette sales, fraud, and arms smuggling, potentially accumulating a total of 30 million euros. Despite this period of illicit activities, Gilligan presented himself as a respectable entrepreneur and professional gambler. His extravagant lifestyle was exemplified by frequent first-class flights, leading to Aer Lingus granting him a gold card. Gilligan's family luxuriated in opulence, enjoying a lavish lifestyle replete with high-end vehicles, residences, and even the Jesbrook Equestrian Center. The magnitude of Gilligan's criminal enterprise left law enforcement officers astounded. Operation Pineapple, launched against Gilligan in early 1996 before Guerin's murder, unveiled the staggering wealth amassed by him and his gang. They were practically drowning in cash, smuggling vast quantities of cannabis into the country via container loads. Gilligan's prosperity reached such heights that he had to hire individuals exclusively tasked with counting the immense sums of money. Weekly tallies, sometimes exceeding 100,000 Irish pounds, were conducted by a family from South Dublin. The full extent of Gilligan's operation became apparent in March 1996, when Dutch police alerted Interpol to suspicious money laundering activities by Irish nationals. Investigators then discovered that Gilligan and his gang had laundered millions through currency exchange bureaus in Amsterdam. British authorities seized substantial sums of cash from Gilligan's associates in Ireland, while confidential reports from banks unveiled that hundreds of thousands were flowing through accounts controlled by Gilligan himself. This left investigators perplexed by the sheer scale and audacity of his criminal operation. The investigation into Veronica Guerin's murder spurred legislative actions that led to the establishment of CAB, Criminal Assets Bureau, aimed at seizing ill-gotten assets. Despite the newfound scrutiny on his finances, John Gilligan's substantial fortune remained elusive. He strategically invested a significant portion of his wealth into the Jesper complex, which he acquired for €1.94 million. Additionally, he spent €214,000 on extra land for the horses to graze on. Eventually, Cab seized and sold the estate, which had been transformed from a run-down house into a world-class equestrian center. Moreover, Gilligan employed gambling as a method of laundering money. Between 1994 and 1996, he placed bets totaling €6.7 million. Remarkably, he won back €6.09 million, effectively laundering the cash at a cost of approximately €610,000. The Gardaí suspected that substantial amounts of money were smuggled to Amsterdam, where at least €3.42 million were converted into Dutch guilders before being funneled into offshore accounts, disappearing without a trace. Rumors circulated that Gilligan had hidden both money and firearms in a bunker on his Kildare estate. However, despite various searches, the bunkers remained elusive. Following Veronica Guerin's murder, bank accounts under Gilligan's control were emptied, with some of the money intercepted and confiscated. Intelligence gathered by the team investigating Guerin's murder, as well as subsequent efforts by Cab, indicated that Gilligan had funneled significant amounts of cash to Spain through Liam Judge, a criminal from Kildare who had since passed away. There were speculations that a portion of the elusive fortune went through a laundering process orchestrated by Terry Wingrove, a British associate of Gilligan. Allegedly, Wingrove channeled positive millions into Hanover Bank Limited, an offshore depository registered in Antigua but operated from Dublin. However, only a fraction of Gilligan's vast wealth has ever been uncovered. Upon Gilligan's release from prison in October 2013, he returned to a changed landscape and became the target of 2 assassination attempts. On December 5th, 2 armed men sought Gilligan with the intent to kill, but ended up at the wrong pub. The following year, during a family celebration at his brother's house in Clondalkin, a couple of gunmen found him. Gilligan was shot at least 4 times and was urgently transported to the hospital in critical condition. Remarkably, he survived the attack. 2 weeks after Gilligan's shooting, and while he was still in the hospital, his driver and bodyguard, Stephen Douglas Moran, was fatally shot. Following Moran's shooting, Gilligan was discharged from the hospital under armed Garda escort and swiftly left the country. In 2018, Gilligan faced arrest while attempting to board a flight to Spain with over €22,000 in his suitcase. The following year, the case against him was dismissed, and Gilligan proceeded to leave for Spain. However, his stay in the Spanish sun was short-lived. In 2020, Gilligan became a target of an international investigation into his criminal gang, suspected of trafficking drugs and guns from Spain to the UK and Ireland. During a joint operation involving the Gardaí, Spanish, and UK law enforcement, his residence in Alicante was raided. Officers discovered 4 kilograms of cannabis, over 10,000 sleeping pills, and notably a rare Colt Python .357. Initially, there were suspicions that this firearm might have been used in the murder of Veronica Guerin, but Irish police later ruled out this connection. At the age of 68, Gilligan was one of 6 people arrested, but was granted bail in December 2020. Recently, John Gilligan managed to avoid an 8-year prison sentence through a plea bargain. Surprisingly, he received only a suspended 22-month sentence and a fine. Notably, the charge of being part of a criminal gang was dropped in the aftermath of the recent court trial. While there were expectations of Gilligan returning to Ireland, a controversial documentary about his life titled Confessions of a Crime Boss stirred outrage and distress in the country. As a result, it seems he has no intentions of returning. That concludes today's video. We're eager to hear your thoughts on the topic, so feel free to share them in the comments section. If you found the content engaging, don't forget to give the video a thumbs up and consider subscribing to our channel to stay updated on our future releases. Thank you for watching.